Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today I'm bringing you guys my second impressions review for the newly released Tier 8 Premium German Light Cruiser, Mainz. Now, Mainz is pretty much a Hipper or Prince Eugen with 150mm guns. There is a couple differences that I did miss in my first impressions review. I do apologize for that. I'm not that savvy with cruisers like I am battleships. I am a battleship main who is trying to branch out more into the cruiser spectrum. I've grinded up several lines to tier 10 and all that, but it still takes some time before you can just be very familiar with everything, like with battleships. I still miss some things with battleships sometimes, and of my 5,700 games, 4,500 of them have been in battleships. But I'm getting there, but here's a couple things that I missed. The first thing is that Mainz does not have a 27mm bow. Prince Eugen and Hipper have a 27mm bow. Mainz has a 25mm bow and stern, but Mainz does get a strip of armor that wraps around the bow. It's her little icebreaker bow, wraps completely around her bow, and it's 40mm thick. So you could bounce Yami shells off of that. If they manage to hit there, they will bounce, but she has that. And her torpedoes. In the first impressions video, you can see me comparing the torpedoes right next to each other, and that was at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I did miss that. Mainz has one more torpedo per set of torpedo tubes than her sisters, the Prince Eugen and Hipper. They only have 3. That's because Mainz has Hindenburg torpedoes. Same range as Prince Eugen and Hipper's, same speed, but Hindenburg has one more torpedo per launcher, so Mainz does as well. And that's the only major things that I missed that have been brought to my attention. Everything else, I think I covered it accurately. So if you want to see all like her specs and stuff and how I have her and the captain set up, go check out my first impressions video. The second impressions video is more about how does she feel after I've played her for a number of days now. I think this is this will be coming out about 4 days after the first impressions video. This is being recorded the day before it comes out. So I've played her quite a bit for the past 4 days, and I've got to say, being a battleship main and transitioning to a light cruiser, which most of the cruisers that I've actually, all of them except for one, cruisers that I've grinded up, they've been heavy cruisers. Ships that aren't as hard of a jump to make from a battleship to a cruiser, because they play kinda like small battleships. A lot of the same principles can be transitioned from battleships to cruisers, especially if you're coming from like the American battleship line, coming from the Iowa. Once you get up to like, if you play a lot of Iowa like I did, it's almost like a very large heavy cruiser, and I have a lot of the super cruisers, so going to heavy cruisers isn't that bad, but going to light cruisers, it's a bit more more of a learning curve. And like I said, I have grinded up a light cruiser line. I did grind to the Worcester, and it's very comfortable to play. It's super easy to get 100,000 damage in this thing. In the game you're watching right now, it was a bit more difficult because of the way that my team went. I was left on my own with only 1 or 2. I think we had maybe 3 ships on our flank, 3 or 4, while the majority of my team went to A and sat there for most of the game. Then we had most of the enemy team chasing us, and we had to, I couldn't keep firing the entire time because I got pushed out into the open ocean, and I annoyed their Jean Bar, and Jean Bar is very good at dealing with annoying cruisers, and I couldn't keep firing nonstop, and so I probably, if I was a better light cruiser player, I probably could have broken 180, 190, 200,000 damage this game, but I'm still learning. So this game, I still did manage to do over 100,000 damage, and it's not a bad game. It's actually a fairly close game. I didn't realize how close it was because, like I said, we were facing the entire enemy team. Felt like we were losing, but our team, they managed to hold their own in A and hold on to our points, so we did manage to win this round. But anyway, it's a very comfortable cruiser to play. And if you've played the Cleveland, which I have, it's basically a better Cleveland, but German. It doesn't have any radar. It does get hydroacoustic search. No heal. which a lot of people were upset about that in the first impressions video, that, the Prince of Oregon gets a hill, and why doesn't this thing get a hill? Well, if this thing had a hill, it would be too much in my opinion, because this ship's got a lot going for it. You've got 12 150 millimeter guns with German HE pins, so these guns can pin 38 millimeters of armor without IFHE, so you don't even need to think about putting IFHE on this thing. And if you go for Demolition Expert and the flags, which I have, you have almost an 11% chance of starting a fire, 10.5% chance of starting a fire per shell, and you got 12 guns that reload in 6 seconds. That's a lot of rounds that you'll be putting downrange in this ship. And this ship is better than starting fires in Smolensk. I don't know what RNG has against me in playing Smolensk. I've never set more than like 6 or 7 fires a game in Smolensk. And I've seen videos of people saying like 17, 20, 21. It's like, good God, what do you do for your RNG? And I have a fire build on Smolensk. It just doesn't cooperate. I don't know. But I've done very well on the ship, very comfortable to play. And for those wondering how to play it, just join the Church of the Throttle Juke. And for those of you that don't know, you just play with your acceleration. You put your stern toward the enemy like you see me doing at the start of this clip. You go forward, go back, go forward, go back. I promise you, in random battles, like 80% or 85% of the shots will miss, and you'll get better at it as you go along, to where you can have 3 battleships in front of you from 10 kilometers away, and they'll be missing. Like in my first video, I was throttle juking in front of 3 battleships who were very annoyed by my presence. And I was with my team, so that did alleviate some of that pressure, but still, they tried to shoot me, go forward, go back. You'll take a hit here and there, but it's, you'll be fine. You get a little boost to your adrenaline rush. And you could also play it as kiting, as you will see. I don't know where I'm going to start the video clip at, but like I'm doing, I guess, around now, while I'm running away from the enemy team, still firing. We had to be a little wary because there was a destroyer that snuck around behind us, but I really couldn't go and hunt him because you had the entire enemy team bearing down on us. So I just had to keep my Hydra up and keep an eye out for his torpedoes. And this is a very, very, very good premium. It's not overpowered. It has its weaknesses because it is a hipper hull except for the bow and stern, which means, it's well armored, but since it's well armored, you'll take more hits from battleships and you'll eat bigger pins, and you don't have a heel, and you don't have 27 millimeters of bow, and you only have 25, so more stuff's going to go through your nose and stern. And yes, it's got 6 guns. Yes, it's got 6 guns. It's got 12 guns. It's got 6-second reload time. But the alpha isn't that great on it. But combined with the chance of fire and the fire rates, it makes up for it. But just keep in mind, you won't be doing a lot of damage per shell, which keeps it fairly balanced. And again, no heal. And your AA, it's okay. You could take defensive AA if you're really having a bad day with the carriers, but I mean, the AA is really hit or miss right now. And that's another really bad thing about this ship because of its chunkiness. Rocket planes will just rip like a quarter to a third of your health off per salvo. I saw this in clan brawls. We were running a Mainz, and my God, poor Mr. Pickles must have lost a quarter to a third of his health per rocket salvo from a Lexington or an Enterprise, and wow, it was rough to watch. Being surrounded by AA ships too, he was still losing 10 to 12,000 damage per salvo sometimes. It's rough. So those aspects keep it fairly balanced. It's it is an HE spammy ship, and I don't like HE spammy ships. I don't really like their gameplay all that much, but this is one that it can keep it pretty interesting for me because it's really good at throttle juking. It can take a hit, but that it can't tank. And again, no heal, so it's like the Smolensk where you can wipe out most of its health, but then it runs away and it has most of its health back again. So it's a pretty good ship. It's all around balanced fairly well. I don't think anything needs to be changed about it. If it had a heal, yeah, it would be nice. I'd be lying if I said I never thought you know, maybe this thing should have a heal when playing it, but no, it doesn't need one. It's pretty comfortable to play as is. And like I said at the start of the video, it's very easy for someone to pick this ship up and do decent in it. And if you're very good at light cruisers, you can do very, very good in it. And that's how a ship should, in my opinion, should work. It should be easy to play. And if you're very good at it, you should be able to be very good at it. So overall, Mainz, yeah, I'd say get it if you want to get it. Is it a must buy? No, not really. But if you're thinking about buying it, I'd say get it. It's worth the 40 bucks. And yes, that is a lot of money to pay for a digital item, but you can throw your Hindenburg captain on this guy and it'll work just fine. Don't have a Hindenburg? Well, now you got something to train your captain for, to train your captain with, because Hindenburg captains are pretty much interchangeable on this guy. So he's pretty good for that. She's pretty good for that. And like I said, it's all around pretty good ship. I'm having a fun time in it. Some tips for it: don't try to use your torpedoes. I've used those torpedoes maybe once playing it, and it wasn't because I was trying to torpedo somebody. It was because, oh, I think the destroyer might come around that corner. I'll throw some torpedoes that way. No destroyer came around the corner. That's the only time I've used them. If you're that close to a ship where you're within torpedo range, either one, you're being rushed and you can deny that ship that rushing charge, or you've messed up. Because you really shouldn't be getting that close to ships in this ship. You want to stay around 11, 12, 13, 14-ish kilometers away. You can do that because the velocity on these guns is 950 meters a second. Very, very good. You don't have to lead the ships for 4 or 5 ship lengths like you have to with the American light cruisers. It's much more comfortable to aim on this thing than with those ships, and I played those ships, and yeah, the rainbow arcs, they're nice to get over islands, but when you're shooting out past like 12, 13 kilometers, it gets pretty rough, and the Mainz is pretty comfortable. So, yep, all around a good ship. Like I said, I would recommend you get it if you're thinking about getting it, worth the 45 bucks. And this is coming from a battleship main that doesn't play a lot of light cruisers. Like I said, I'm still hanging around the heavy cruisers for now. I'll get the light cruisers sometime in the future, and probably in the near future, because we're still going to be stuck in our houses for the next couple of months, it's looking like. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you like Mainz? Do you think she's worth it? Do you think she's worth the price? Do you not like Mainz? What do you think needs to be changed about her? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you're all having a very wonderful day. If you did enjoy the video, please drop a like and subscribe. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. We just passed 9,200. You guys are awesome. You got that out of the way very quickly, surprisingly quickly. Thank you guys for that. Hopefully we'll be at 10,000 before the end of this month. I think you guys can do it. And we'll do something very big for that. I'm not sure what yet. But I'm stuck in my house for the next couple of months like everybody else. So I'll figure something out. Again, guys, hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.